Okay, hey guys, I think we are live. Yes, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Talking Saratoga, a weekly podcast with the latest news, debate, and insight from Saratoga Springs, a city that has never suffered from a shortage of opinions. Welcome, Adam and Dan. Dan, are you outside?
I'm enjoying the weather.
Adam, I didn't get the memo that we were going to be podcasting outside today. I want to do class outside today, too.
I am none other at the Brick at 2 West, the tropical place over on West Avenue. Actually, this is great there. They got a huge patio. Erica Schreifels was kind enough to let me do the podcast from today. I want to be outside. Of course, the sun's beating down, so I won't last there long. I'll have to get undercover shortly. But Samantha hooked me up with a nice tropical drink, plenty of tequila. No, actually, it's not alcoholic. I got my Tommy Bahama shirt given to me by my wife, Rita. I'm plugging everybody here to start off the podcast.
Adam, what's up? We didn't get the memo here.
I don't know. Good for you, Dan. I like the idea, though.
I love it, too. All right, you guys, we have so much going on today, and we have lots of guests to bring in. So I just want to dive right into some of the things that have been going on the last couple of weeks. I know we wanted to go over a few updates on some of the major kind of issues we've been talking about, especially the CRB, which we know was passed the last city council meeting. We're keeping our eye on that as they execute what they voted on. This is the Civilian Review Board that was voted on about a week and a half ago. Dan, I had a quick question for you about that. There's administrative subpoena power written into this CRB. I don't really know what that means, like what these different kinds of subpoena power mean. But my quick question for you was, is that something you think there would be any kind of like lawsuit, or I know that there's been a lot of police departments in which the PBA has sued when there's been some subpoena power written into these CRBs. Do you think that's likely here?
There's sort of like you said, there's sort of a been there, done that. Saratoga's not blazing a new trail on this. So administrative subpoena powers aren't of course as powerful as say a judicial subpoena, and I'm guessing it's going to be more for businesses, like let's see your security camera subpoena, those kind of things. It's not just documents, any sort of record. And, certainly a digital recording of a video thing would have that. So could it be challenged? Certainly. I don't know how successful it'll be. This is not necessarily new territory in Saratoga, but not elsewhere.
Awesome.
Yeah, Dan, do you have any insight into what would be the punitive measure if somebody didn't comply with an administrative subpoena? I mean, is this something that the city can enforce, or is it just a strongly worded?
They can try to enforce it. Most, from what I've seen from administrative subpoenas, especially if it's a government agency, they're just going to follow it. Most businesses will follow it. I've not seen enforcement action taken on the administrative ones. The judicial ones, certainly, those are powerful. You do not want to be in non-compliance with a judicial subpoena. What we see nationally with the president and so forth, former presidents, how subpoenas get ignored and what happens. These are at the extreme other end. These are low level. I've not seen them challenged often, but most people just comply with them. Why pay attorneys to fight it when, okay, fine, have our security camera.
Well, I know that it's going to be challenging, I think, to execute this. And, probably passing the document itself might be the easiest part of this whole process. So we're going to be watching it closely. I know that we have a call in to Sergeant Danny Mullen, who's the head of the PBA locally, and we'd love to get their thoughts on this when they are available to come on, hopefully. So a few other things that we wanted to talk about with the city council, although I know we have a lot of guests waiting. So do we want to finish up our city council stuff later and start bringing guests now and kind of flip flop?
All right, let's do it. I'm going to move because I'm baking and so is my laptop. So,
please. Our heart bleeds for you. Our heart bleeds for you, Dan. All right, I'm going to bring in Abby. Abby, our friend Abby, there she is.
Hi, guys.
Hello, Abby. How are you?
Great. How are you?
We're good. Abby, as you guys know, is the editor-in-chief and publisher of Saratoga Living and Cal Region Living, and their new issue just came out, or is about to come out. Is it coming out today, Abby?
No, not yet. Probably on Friday.
Oh, Friday. So this is a little sneak peek of the cover.
That's right.
Which looks incredible, I might add. It looks awesome. There's so much good stuff in here. Adam, have you seen the cover yet?
I have now. Look at that.
Great,
Oh,
right?
yeah. That's creative. I like it, Abby.
Thank you.
Abby, there's so much in this new episode, or in this rather not new episode, new issue. Sorry, new issue. Including obviously your cover star Yo-Yo Ma. This is a pretty big deal. Yo-Yo Ma has got to be one of the most famous musicians, in the world, like hands down of all time, practically. So that is really exciting to have on your cover.
Yeah, people who know basically nothing about classical music know Yo-Yo Ma. So when we were able to interview him, it was a dream come true, and we're just so excited. He'll be at SPAC on August 5th with the Philadelphia Orchestra.
That is amazing. Speaking of SPAC, what else is going on at SPAC this summer? Because I know there's some really exciting news and some really great performances happening this summer that you guys talk about in this issue.
Yes, definitely. It's for some reason just the most exciting summer. Last year was sort of the quote comeback summer, but this year the pre-sales are even higher. It's just such an exciting time to be looking at SPAC. The interviews that we have in the magazine, Sterling Hilton is a principal dancer in New York City Ballet, and she's retiring in December. So this is her last time at SPAC. And she's been coming here for 20 years. And she just talked so highly of what it is like to perform at SPAC. She's a new mom. It's one of the reasons that she's retiring. And she actually said that she would like to introduce her daughter to ballet. Not the razzle dazzle of Lincoln Center, New York City or anything, but she wanted to bring her daughter up here to show ballet for the first time at the lawn at SPAC. And like Yo-Yo Ma, the two of them especially really talked about how powerful it is to perform specifically on the SPAC stage, the outdoor effect. I think her quote was something like, the audience is watching us, but we're watching nature. She actually talked about what it's like when the moon is a certain way, or there are fireflies in the audience, or the clouds and that kind of thing. And that was what Yo-Yo Ma talked passionately about as well, how profound an experience it is to be making music outdoors like that. So they both just talked so highly about SPAC. It was really beautiful.
Abby, let me ask you a question. What event are you most looking forward to at SPAC this year? Do you have your?
I already have my tickets to everything. The ballet night. Midsummer Night's Dream is where Sterling is going to retire from SPAC. It's one of my favorite ballets. The Balanchine one is just so beautiful. I couldn't wait to see Yo-Yo Ma, of course. And then I do already have my tickets to the Opera Saratoga. The fact that they brought the Broadway musical to SPAC is, I didn't think there was anything missing. How did they even come up with this? And it's just been incredible. And the star who's coming up to star in Sweeney Todd, the Sondheim musical that they're doing, is from Albany. So very cool. She's getting to come home. She grew up going to concerts at SPAC, never thought she would perform there, being a Broadway star, and now she has her chance.
It's pretty incredible. Dan, you're muted. I don't know why Dan's
I've got to jump in. Well, I had a motorcycle in the background. Didn't want you to hear it. Abby, I got a question for you, because I'm in perhaps like a lot of parents. Pre-COVID, I had a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old that were not into the arts. Now I have an 8-year-old that has taken violin lessons, and I have a 4-year-old that's taking ballet lessons at Saratoga Ballet. So suddenly I have artists in my house. Certainly not me. I have very limited talents. They have talent. They both love it. What an exciting array of choices I have to take them and inspire them. I'm going to put you on this spot. Where would you, if you were to go to one event, where would you take the young budding musician, and which ballet would you take the young budding ballerina?
Well, I would say maybe bring both of them to Midsummer Night's Dream, the ballet. The reason why I say that is because, there is a live music, the classical music is there, but there's plenty to watch. In the lawn, there will be so many children, and there are a lot of children in that performance. They do, all the auditions around town, and they're young children. I think that the younger ones, I'm not sure, play the fireflies. So when there are fireflies in the audience and little children running around playing fireflies on the stage, that's kind of the dream that we all look forward to. But that's just a great one. And the orchestra does have some great ones for kids. Yeah. So, are they doing a movie one this year? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think they are. They almost always do 1 or 2 performances that are specifically for kids, and they'll do like Disney, songs or movies soundtracks, and they're really like specifically for kids, and they time them for kids as well, so they're a little bit earlier. And so Dan, I would definitely take a look at those, because my kids have loved them, And, it's something that's really special and unexpected. And they also usually do some pop-ups around town during the summer. So like every now and then I'll have like the Philadelphia Orchestra pop up at the library. And so like my kids and I'll run down and they have this like kind of incredible little preview of what they could, be seeing in SPAC. It's really special.
That's the first time you've said something about Caroline Street. Not that wasn't bad, but usually you're pointing out the bar issues. You can run to the library on a moment's notice.
I can. We leave Gaffney's, we put our cocktails down, and we head right over to the library. But yes, it's pretty amazing and so unique to Saratoga. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really important for Saratogians to continue to support, especially the ballet and the Philadelphia Orchestra coming here, because it just, when you tell people that that's the experience they can have in this little city, that we have those world-class groups coming here to put on, world-class orchestra and ballet. And it just is so unique. And it's something we all need to continue to support. So they have big, full audiences when they're up performing.
And one thing I'll add to that, Dan, is the Albany Symphony, too. They still have their movie nights available as well. I think they're in the first week in June or the end of May. Another local thing to support. We talk about them very briefly in the magazine.
No, what is the Mostly Modern Festival at Skidmore? I have heard about this, but I don't really know what it is. Can you tell our audience?
Sure, Dan can jump in at any time. It's at Skidmore. This is its third year, and their focus is on living composers. So usually when you go to a symphony performance, there's often a short contemporary one first. Maybe the conductor is there, hopefully, and then something else in the middle, and then one of the most classical ones at the end that sometimes gets the most fanfare. The Mostly Modern Festival really concentrates on those conductors that are still alive and are still getting their name out there, and they have an extensive roster. It's really going to be incredible, actually. I'm planning on going. Dan, do you have anything to add? I know that you've been working with them as well.
Yes, I just had to mute myself. It was founded by local people. That's the key. It's not some. I mean, it is large and everything, but it's got the local element to it. What I love about this is it's several days. Like so many times, I want to go to something like this, and it's one night, and I'm busy that night, and I miss it. You've got Saratogians. You've got world-class musicians. From my hometown of Buffalo, the leader, the conductor of the Buffalo Philharmonic will be a major part of this. Many other pieces of classical music, and it's made to be accessible, and that's what I love about this. It's not going to cost a fortune. This is a terrific event that's coming to Saratoga. We are fortunate in Saratoga. We talk a lot about the ups and downs of Saratoga, right? But let's acknowledge the good things, that something like the Mostly Modern Festival, was founded by local people, and it's coming here. And that's another. I guess I'm in a positive mood. Maybe it was the tequila. No, it was not.
Well,
it was.
Listen, I want to quickly hop into some of the food and drink news, because I want to make sure we get through it before we have to get to our other guests. And food and drink, guys, might be the only thing more important to me than like the performances. So, Abby, there's some new things happening at the Adelphi. Am I hearing new sushi at the Adelphi?
Not new sushi, new place to eat your sushi that you already love eating there. They have a gorgeous new sushi bar built right off of Morrissey's. And actually, I'm sure if anyone's been downtown, that the Adelphi is running some renovations right now. The main atrium is closed. Well, they have a new dining room as well. So when you go in, they opened the sushi bar right at Morrissey's. You can watch them make your sushi. It's really, really lovely. And then you keep going, and there's the new dining room, and it's really beautiful.
That is awesome. And then there was Brentwood, which is the little kind of boutique hotel over.
The Brentwood.
Yeah.
The Brentwood Hotel that is over by the track. Pretty popular in the summertime. A lot of people don't know that they have opened a bar there, and it's not just for guests. Anyone can go there. They focus on kind of natural wines, biodynamic wines. That's their specialty. They also have cocktails, and they're pretty light on food at the moment, but they do have focaccia and some other light bites to have, and we should definitely support them, although I'm sure they're going to be inundated this summer.
It's not large, right? So do they have outdoor area as well there to have a drink?
That's a great question. When I was there, no, but it was still pretty cold out. So
you can go outside and outside over there, Dan, and Pioneer.
Yeah, the next one.
Yeah, you have the Horseshoe, you have Brentwood, and you have Mexican Connection right there too, and Zero. So you got something for everybody. Anyway, Abby, thank you very much for coming on. We appreciate you on the show. You can't wait. When does the magazine drop?
Friday.
And tell people again, real quick, where they can get copies of the magazine.
Oh my goodness, we are in most boutiques and places on Broadway. We're in Price Chopper, Hannaford, some Stewart's, and in other places outside of Saratoga as well.
Thank you, Abby, so much. Also, online, people can look for your content online every day, digital, on your Substack, right?
Yes, we've been really focused on our Substack. Thank you for bringing it up. It's saratogaliving.substack.com, SUB stack. And that's where we've got all of the kind of vibe checks around town. We go to bars, we go to parties, slice of life type stuff. Just really fun stuff that would be too old if we ran in the magazine. So
awesome. I'm loving your content. You guys are doing an amazing job.
Thank
you for coming on. I hope we can have you back for the next magazine.
Let's do it. Sounds
awesome.
Good. See you soon.
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you.
Bye. That was great. They've done such a great job with Saratoga Living. It's really impressive.
Those articles pop. The pictures pop and the wording pops. Folks, get a copy.
I agree with all. We are going on to our next guest. We're doing a little left turn here, back into kind of not straight politics, but some interesting stuff happening over at Skidmore. We're going to bring in Lucas Willard. Lucas, can you hear me?
I can, Robin. How are you?
Hey, good. This is Lucas Willard from WAMC. Lucas, we are thrilled to have you on. You kind of broke this story, as far as I could tell, over at Skidmore about the non-tenured faculty seeking to unionize. And I think it's a really interesting kind of dynamic and development over there. And we'd love for you to kind of walk our viewers a little bit through what's going on. And what's happening.
Sure. So the non-tenure track faculty over at Skidmore they held a unionizing petition drive, and they say that they've gotten about 65% of the NTT faculty at Skidmore interested in joining a union. They filed their petitions with the National Labor Relations Board, and now it's up for the NLRB to set a date for a union election. And then the faculty will then be able to go through and vote on whether or not to form a union. The name of the group that's leading this effort is Skidmore Faculty Forward, and they're looking to work. They're working with SEIU Local 200 United, which is also representing non-tenure track faculty at Siena College and St. Rose, just to name a couple of other private colleges in the capital region.
Lucas, let me ask you, what's stirring this? Why do these professors feel that they need to unionize?
Well, I think this takes a little bit of a zoom out, because it's not just at Skidmore or private colleges that you're seeing unionization efforts, but I mean, just look at the Starbucks effort, which started in Buffalo a few months ago and now is in 30 different states, and including Starbucks stores in Latham, New York, and down in Albany at the Stuyvesant Plaza. There is, of course, inflation with the pandemic. Everything's more expensive. Housing is more expensive. At Skidmore, Saratoga Springs, as I'm sure all of you are aware, is not the cheapest place to live. But the Skidmore faculty say that the college is relying too heavily on its adjunct professors, and that there's a lack of job security when you're an adjunct professor. The way that the college actually pays these faculty members is broken up. You have salaried employees, you have employees who are paid by credit hour, and then you also have the music instructors. And in some cases at Skidmore, you actually have music instructors who travel up from New York City to teach in Saratoga Springs a couple days a week, and you can only imagine how expensive that is.
Lucas, can I interrupt? Sorry for one sec. To that end, when I saw this headline, I actually assumed that was the reason why they were pushing to have this unionization effort, because I know that it's been kind of in the news in the last several years, this kind of system that colleges have developed into of relying so heavily on adjunct professors who typically are paid per semester. They're paid very little. They often don't have benefits. And so kids are, paying a premium to go, in theory, be taught by the tenured professors who really don't make appearances in the classroom very often. And so the adjunct professors are doing the bulk of the work, and they have, as you said, no job security really. They're being paid a fraction of what the tenured professors are being paid. And really on the student end, I'm sure the adjunct professors are exceptionally good, but you're paying this extraordinary, at Skidmore, it's very expensive. The tuition is super high over there. And so you're paying to have access to the tenured professors, really, for the most part. So is that also playing a role here?
Yeah,
and system?
Yes, I would say absolutely. And there was a rally on the Skidmore campus last week, and there were actually students, and I talked with a couple of them.
Did we lose Lucas?
Looks like we did.
Lucas, you're frozen. Oh, there he is.
Did we get him back? Well, why?
Just as much as the tenured faculty.
Lucas, we lost you for a second. You froze for a second. Can you tell us what you just said?
I think he has a bad connection.
I think he has a bad connection too. Uh-oh. All right, I'm going to text Lucas.
While you're doing that, I'll just say, I think this is a relevant issue to the community, the greater community, whether or not they have a connection to Skidmore or not. It's kind of like along the lines of workforce housing and things like that. We want an inclusive community. We want the professors at Skidmore to live here and be able to afford to live here. I come from a labor background. I want them to have tenure. I want them to have a career. I want them to be able to support their family. So this to me is an important issue to Saratoga, whether or not someone specifically has a direct connection to Skidmore or not.
Agreed. Lucas, I'm sorry. You know what? Lucas, it seems, does not have a good internet connection because he keeps popping in and out.
One thing I'll say, Robin, just to add about labor is during my campaign, I got to meet a lot of the different labor unions in our area and just really realize how critical labor is to a functional and growing society in a city like Saratoga. These are the men and women who come in and build our schools, build our bridges, and build our infrastructure and do it in professional and safe ways. And I was really impressed to see the training that the carpenters, the electricians get before they're allowed to enter the workforce and actually produce the work. So you're growing up in a small business Republican family. It was labor wasn't always deemed as the good guy, but I really was. It changed it a 360 or 180 after meeting some of these unions. But all right, looks like we got Lucas back.
I also think it's important to differentiate between the trades and the trade unions because there are different kinds of unions. So Adam, you're talking about, I think, trade unions in particular, which
as opposed to professional unions.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Lucas, we're back. The internet doesn't like you today on our show. No,
I guess not. No,
let's blame the Russians, okay?
we while you were off, we shouted at Ellen Shartok that you need a raise. We fought for your labor rights.
No, I'm very happy with WAMC. I've been at WAMC, and we've had a news bureau at Skidmore since 2013. So I'm very fortunate to be part of the news crew there. So,
Lucas, let me give a chance here so WAMC. What are some stories you're working on? What are you excited about? What's something you guys are talking about that's hot in the area?
Well, actually, I'm working on this unionization stuff is taking up some of my time today. I'm working on the Starbucks story today. I went up to one of the branches that's seeking to unionize today. Also, this morning, I attended a press conference in Albany about bridging the digital divide and some nonprofits that were awarded funding to help provide internet access through the Albany Housing Authority and expand actually the Albany Can Code program, actually help expand that into the Mohawk Valley, the New York City area, and also Western New York. So that's what I'm running around today.
Lucas, while you're tracking down the Starbucks and their unionization efforts, do you think you could find out when our Starbucks on Broadway is going to reopen? Because I know that would be breaking news in Saratoga Springs. That people are really.
I'll ask. Absolutely. I'll reach out to Starbucks and see what they say. So.
All right, let's make that our top priority, okay?
If I could, before we let you go, Lucas, I just want to say that piece you did with Jason Golub, the interview I think it was might have been posted earlier this week on the WAMC website. That was terrific. It was a 12-minute long piece, longer. Folks, you can get the audio version of that on WAMC. Lucas went in depth. I thought Jason
It was fantastic.
made a great interview. Congratulations on that well done piece.
Oh,
Yes,
I appreciate that.
That was fantastic.
I appreciate that.
That was fantastic.
Jason was very kind to let me sit down with him on his second day on the job last week. So I think that was on Thursday or Friday. I sat down with him at City Hall, and we covered a wide variety of topics, but talked about his approach to his philosophy, his leadership philosophy. We talked about a couple of topics like the Civilian Review Board, which is something I know you're very familiar with, Robin, and an upcoming election that Jason is going to have to go through with the special election to fill the remainder of Skip Scirocco's term, and then if he chooses to run again for a full term, I guess in a year and a half from now.
Luke, it's kind of an unusual situation, isn't it? I mean, to be talking to someone on their second day on the job, and then also having to talk about they're going to have to, run again, try to get this nomination. I mean, it's a lot.
Yes. Yep. The special election is set for, well, it hasn't been exactly set, but under the city charter, they would need to have a special election to fill the remainder of the term, and that would likely be in November. So what is it? It's May now. So I'm not too great on math, but I think that's about 6 months away, less than 6 months away. So there's a lot to overcome, because you realize that Jason was one of a handful of candidates to seek the Commissioner of Public Works job, and he's up against he went up against Bill McTighe, who's a former director of Public Works with the city, and he's very well known in the city Democratic Party. And then you have Skip Scirocco's son, Anthony Scirocco Jr., who is endorsed by the city GOP committee, and who's also likely to be a very popular candidate. So it could be it could be interesting. I'll just put it that way.
I know that the McTighe had said at public comment when Jason was appointed, he had kind of alluded to challenging him for the Democratic nomination. So this is going to be a campaign where in November, our ballot options are going to be whoever the parties nominate. And so he's going to have to face, it sounds like, a challenge from within his own party first before he even gets to the November election, which is just, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with on your second day on the job.
Absolutely. Yes. So Jason is going to have to go up against the Democrats and then also the Republicans. Yes.
Well, Lucas, I just have to say on a quick personal and professional note, you really provide some of the best coverage in the area, if not region, in terms of news. And I know I've always been so deeply grateful to have you, because local journalism is almost non-existent anymore. So you provide such a huge service for all of us, and you always do such an incredible, thorough and fair and balanced approach to everything you're covering. And I know I deeply appreciate it. And I just encourage all of our viewers to go and watch WAMC. You can check out what Lucas is doing and support what they're doing, because it's just such a valuable and necessary source of information for all of us. So I just wanted to thank you.
Well, I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Well, Adam and Dan, if you have any more questions, I'm gonna let Lucas go. I hope we can have you back soon to keep us posted on what's going on at Skidmore, and we can try to get the Wi-Fi prearranged before that, so we can have you on with no interruption.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure of that. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas. Okay.
You never realize how much truck traffic is on West Avenue until you try podcasting from West Avenue.
You know what, Dan? I could have told you that, buddy.
Yeah, that's another hot topic for another conversation.
This was all done at the last minute.
I know. We can do an analysis of background noise and outdoor podcast spots, but I want to bring Matthew Taylor in, because we're going to switch topics here. Hi, Matthew. How are you? And talk about the school board election. We have a local school board election happening this coming Tuesday, May 17th. And school board elections have become probably one of the hottest topics and most controversial areas locally. As we've seen over the last couple of years, politics kind of infiltrate school boards and become a lot more contentious in terms of these campaigns and these races for the school board seats. I know that personally, that's not something I have loved. I don't think politics really have any place in school board elections, but that ship seems to have sailed. So we wanted to bring on Matthew Taylor, who is a former school board candidate. You ran for school board 2 years ago, correct, Matthew? And he is also very well acquainted with our political landscape. He, full disclosure, helped on my campaign. He has, run campaigns like Commissioner Michelle Madigan's, who was our former finance commissioner. He also founded the local Democratic Club at our high school. He is very well versed in local politics. You really can't find anyone who has the level of expertise and knowledge that Matthew Taylor has about local politics and also the school board. So I was hoping that, Matthew, you could give us a little overview of how many candidates are running and what people are going to be looking at in terms of choices come Tuesday. Oh, Matthew, we can't hear you, buddy. Matthew, we can't hear you. We're just having an IT issues abound today. I think it's on your end, Matthew, because we've got you not muted over here. Do you have? Oh boy. Well,
let's talk about. I mean, we can.
You guys talk. I'll try to. It's not on our end. Hold on, Adam. Why don't you talk to Dan a little bit about what we're looking at while I try to work this out with Matthew.
Sure. So I think we have 6 candidates running for 3 seats, and I think it's important to know how. Oh, Matt's muted now. Matt, it shows you're muted.
I think he's back. He's with us now, not muted. Matthew says.
Can you hear us?
No.
Yeah. All right. You guys carry on. I'll try to figure this out with Matthew.
Adam, keep going, please.
If you can get him back on.
There's 6 candidates running, and it's for 3 open positions. And the way it works is each person who's in the school district gets essentially 3 votes. And the top 3 vote getters get the 3 open seats. Something that's different and unique about the school board as opposed to the city council is the school board it's not in the Saratoga city proper. It's the district. So it extends into some of the neighboring cities and towns.
Yeah, so it's Greenfield, Wilton, because we have, if you go over our elementary schools, which kind of give you a sense of what the district is, you've got Geyser Road Elementary, you've got Division, you've got Dorothy Nolan, you've got Caroline Street, you've got Lake Avenue. And so, as Adam, you just said, it's not just the city, it's a bigger geographical area, which does really affect the outcome of the school board election. And Adam, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Sorry.
No. Yeah, it's for the clarity, because I had the idea, but not the details. But something that I'm really looking forward to or interested in the school board election is, it seemed, Robin, when you and I ran for the last commissioner election, is it really skewed Democrat. The city's really, growing up here, it was a conservative Republican city, and those demographic has skewed to more of a liberal Democratic.
And we know this because of the voter registration. That's how we really can specifically know this, because there's about 2,500 more voters registered as Democrats than there are Republicans.
And this is in the city, right, Robin?
Correct, in the city. The city. Yep.
Yeah. So to see how this plays out, and how much this shift in demographics is really going to change Saratoga politics going to the future is going to be a this school board election is almost a referendum on that, because you have 2 kind of parties, or they're not really parties, but 2 groups of candidates who've kind of set up together. The independent, more right-leaning candidates, and then you have the left-leaning candidates.
So let me touch on that for a quick second. So first of all, if you look at the past school board elections and you look at the results per elementary school, so you look at the results at Lake Avenue, Caroline Street, you can see there's a really obvious differentiation between the schools that are in the city and who vote for the kind of more liberal and progressive leaning candidates versus the outlying areas, which are all voting heavily to the Republican and more conservative school board candidates. Now, how do we know the political leanings of these school board candidates when we don't want politics in our school board races? Excellent question. So in this instance, this year, the 3 candidates who are running together on one side, Natalia Latakia, John Brueggerman, and Martha Devaney, they went to the Democratic Committee first and didn't get a formal endorsement, but got the support of the Democratic Committee and kind of came out together as a group with that support. And so, they have positioned themselves in a way to be known as the 3 candidates who have the more progressive leaning opinions. And then there are 3 other candidates running who have been kind of grouped together by various groups, such as Saratoga Parents for Safer Schools, who are known in school board races here for supporting initially SROs and more armed grounds monitors in schools. And so we've kind of had this strange dynamic happen where it's not necessarily the candidates always who are coming out and saying like, I'm, more right leaning or more left leaning, but it's a combination of that. And then also different special interest groups around town coming out and grouping them together. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we end up with 3 school board candidates that are kind of grouped together on one end, again, more right leaning, and then 3 on the other side. So that's kind of the layout for this election. Matthew is back. Matthew, can we hear you now?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
No.
So no, we can.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we can. So we kind of just did a little overview of the school board demographics and how it's been playing out and presenting itself here. But do you think you just give us a quick rundown of the 6 candidates that are running? I know there's 3 spots that are going to be open, and we have 6 people running, correct?
Yep. So there's 3 open seats, and the 3 highest vote getters get on the board. So there's Natalia Latkia, Dean Colligan, Ed Spickler, Billy McCann, John Brueggerman, and Martha Devaney.
Now,
So
which ones of those are
6 people running
incumbent?
for 3 open seats.
And which ones are
Yep.
the
So
incumbent?
Natalia Latkia. Yep. So Natalia Latkia, Dean Colligan, and John Brueggerman are all currently serving on the board, so they're seeking re-election.
Okay. Can you give us a kind of, a quick kind of overview of if these, I guess it's going to be hard for you to answer, but if these candidates wanted to like sum up their candidacies or, how their candidacies and platforms are being presented, can you give us a little bit of a rundown of what their priorities are?
So to be honest, I did some research, and especially I looked into Martha Devaney because she's new, and I looked into Natalia Latkia and John Brueggerman and their Facebook feeds and websites, and it's all very kind of just vague platitudes. I'm running because I support our kids. I'm running because I support our schools. There's really no platform points, like this is what I want to do when I'm on the board. I did have the opportunity to meet with Billy McCann, and she actually ran through some of her initiatives and platform points and goals that she wants to have. And that's helpful to actually know what someone's running to do besides these vague platitudes. And also it's kind of clear with the 2 teams forming that there is some sort of, I believe nationally, school board races have gotten really contentious this past year alone, with whether it's banning books in schools or, Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. So, that's been something that's happened nationwide. And I feel like now it's blowing up here. I mean, our school board races have been political in the years past, but this one's a bit different with just how it's kind of sad, because it's like if you are a candidate, like I think Robin mentioned, you might be running as an independent and you're running your own campaign and you have your own motives, but other people kind of label you and brand you a certain way. And if it's kind of like if you even talk to people who are on the other side of the aisle or have a conversation with them or get a picture with them, you somehow believe what they believe. And I think that's really destructive, because especially on a school board, we should all be able to come together.
I just want to jump in quickly because I want to be fair to all the candidates. I watched the Women's League of Voters in Saratoga had a forum for all the school board candidates at the beginning of the month, and you can find it on YouTube. I watched the whole forum. My impression of Natalia Latkia and John Brueggerman and Martha Devaney was that they had a lot of similar talking points in terms of DEI, in terms of transparency with curriculum, in terms of restorative justice practices for any behavioral issues or trouble that kids might be getting in at school and how to resolve it. Those were kind of some of the points that I saw them hitting. And also kind of, thematically, they were all kind of on the same page with. And I know that John Brueggerman was also focused a lot on vaping and discussing the issues of vaping with our kids. and addressing that problem. So there was some specificity to why they were running and what they wanted to prioritize.
They should add them to their website.
Right. Well, yeah. So, and I hate to do this, Matthew, but I want to bring you back next week to maybe talk about the results, because we'll have the results a week from today. The election is next Tuesday. We're got kind of crunched for time, and we've obviously had some IT issues, but so I hate to wrap you so quickly, but I hope you'll join us next week and we can kind of break down the results and have you back again.
Yeah, real quick, Matt, before
no
you
problem.
go, the three candidates who are you mentioned the three progressive candidates, the three again moderate or leaning.
Why don't we use their names so we don't attach an ideology to them?
Right. So, but the other three are can you name them? That's exactly where I was going with this.
Yeah, the other group that's kind of coalesced is Dean Colligan, Ed Spickler, and Billy McCann.
Okay, great.
If I could just briefly jump in and just say, folks, there's other things besides the candidates. They have the school budget to vote on that day. There's 2 bond proposals, one for buses and so forth. Your particular elementary school is where you should vote, and polls are open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Tuesday.
Great.
That is really important information. I never know that there's bond proposals. I'm never prepared for those issues, so I appreciate you bringing that up, Dan, because I need to do my own kind of homework on that. I know we have one of the school board candidates waiting, and I want to bring her on. But I just want to thank you, Matthew. I appreciate it.
Good seeing you.
Yeah,
sorry about
have a great one, guys.
Bye.
No, that's okay. Bye.
So I just wanted to reiterate again, these are not candidates that I necessarily want to talk about in terms of progressive or conservative. I think it's really unfortunate that they've been grouped together like that. I know some of them are more comfortable with those labels, some of them aren't. But one of the candidates who had reached out to me and I'd spoken to and also seen some of her stuff online is Billy McCann. And I think we have her waiting over here. Billy, there you are. Hi, Billy. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
No problem. Thank you for coming on. I read some of your things online and I saw some of the things you were doing in the school board race, and it really resonated with me because of your approach, which has been really focused on taking politics out of the equation and bringing kind of an independent voice in. And the reason that kind of connected with me so much, and one of the reasons why I was happy to have you on today, was that I watch these school board meetings. I know most people don't. I am like a glutton for punishment. I watch all these meetings, city council, school board, what have you. And what I've seen on the school board is a troubling dynamic of people kind of, falling into these two teams and letting the political issues divide the board a bit. And it's really become a little dysfunctional. There's been some hostility. There's been some moments of kind of aggression and anger between the school board candidate or between the current school board members. And I think, to me, one of the things I would love to see is someone who could come in and be a unifying voice and build some consensus there. And that's something that you really speak to in your messaging.
Yes, I think you nailed it. Thank you. You could be writing my own platform for me. I appreciate that. That was beautifully said. And I appreciate hearing that. At the end of the day, I'm a soccer mom. I love my children. I love all children. I've been a pediatric occupational therapist for 20 years. I am learning so much about politics as I'm running, unfortunately, because I never expected that school boards would be so politically driven, but they are. And I think the voters that are reaching out to me and meeting me in person are getting a chuckle at just how naive and unaware of anything political that I truly am. I am 100% independent. I'm an independent thinker. And so, that's exactly what I hope to bring to the school board. As a mom, I've been attending school board meetings, and the divisiveness on the board, I think, is unproductive. I think it's, contributing to some of the poor public relations with the school district. And not only am I an occupational therapist, but I've been a life coach, certified life coach for the last 4 years. So I feel like I have the skill set to help bridge that divide and infuse some positivity into the school board and really just place emphasis on, continuing to emphasize all the things that our school does great and to help support the things that we're failing at, such as transparency and communication.
Billy, let me ask you, because at
Yeah.
some point in the last couple of months, you decided to make this jump into politics, and unfortunately,
Well,
well, not into politics, but it's school board, but it's an election, so I use
Yeah.
politics is in that terms of you're running for something. I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision, and it's unfortunately with the divisiveness in this country right now, every seat that somebody runs for is politicized, and you get hammered on by one side or the other. Why did you decide to run? What was it that was kind of your calling to say, I need to step up and I need to help my community and I need to run for this office or this position?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. I never aspired to run for the school board or to sit on our board. It was never one of my lifelong goals. I felt during COVID, our school doors closed, and I was always such an integral part of our community, our school community. I've been classroom mom. I've been on the PTA. I've been on the building leadership committee. And when the doors closed, I felt a disconnect. And then, the country is divided, right? And so I think that's infiltrating our school. And then I reached out to the school board and Dr. Patton in the fall with some questions asking for improved communication and transparency. And I felt that my concerns kind of fell in a vacuum and weren't properly addressed. So I started talking to my friends and other moms and like-minded individuals, and they were encouraging me to run for the school board so that I could be in the loop and in the know and help to promote the very things that were troublesome to me. And I know you don't know this about me, Adam, but I am a problem solver, and I never want to contribute to problems. I only want to be part of the solution. And so when I see something is not working or is broken, my gut reaction is just to jump in and do what I can to help advocate to help improve it. And I don't do it with my own mindset. I definitely reach out to people with different lenses and ways of looking at the situation. I don't feel like there's any one way to solve a problem. And I think it's important to work collectively with people that are like-minded and people that aren't, so that we can make sure that at the end of the day, the approaches and the solutions and the actionable steps that we're implementing are representative of everybody in our community.
Isn't that such a refreshing take, guys? I love that. And I wish that everyone, in politics, school board, wherever, had a bit more of that approach when they tackle some of these issues. I wanted to read I'm sorry, Dan, did you want to jump in?
Really on this issue, what I just want to say to you, Ms. McCann, as well as your 5 fellow candidates and in some cases opponents, I guess, thank you for doing this. 30 years ago, you could hand it to me, pay me a 6-figure salary, and I decline. Today, you have with the politics of today, this is a non-paid job, folks. They got to run through bruising campaigns to get it. God bless you and your fellow candidates, regardless of where they stand on issues and whether I agree with them or not. So thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for that. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Yes, and that's the sentiment I share to all 5 of the candidates running. I've actually reached out to them. I wished them well when I decided to throw my hat in the race. At the end of the day, if I do get elected, I could very well be sitting across from them, and I hope to work collectively together.
Billy, do you mind if I read one of your Facebook posts? Actually, you posted something yesterday that I thought was really interesting, and I kind of wanted to read it and have you talk about it for a quick minute before we go. Adam, do we have time for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You said, last night as I was tucking Gray into bed, he hugged me, and out of the blue, he shared a quote with me. You have enemies? Good. That means you stood up for something in your life, which is a Winston Churchill quote. Out of the mouths of babes, his message fortified me. I will continue to stand up for my children and all of your children's education, safety, and well-being. I was asked today by a voter if I'm a moving Saratoga forward candidate. My response, no, that's not even a thing, is it? I'm independent. I'm not Republican or Democrat. But if I am forced to check a box, that box will read, I am the students and the parents candidate.
Yeah.
So
I get a little emotional hearing you read that.
I would too, because having your children observe the dynamics of any campaign, but yours in particular, it really always hits home, for how kids see things. But
yeah.
I just wanted to see if you could kind of elaborate on that a little bit, because I know that in Saratoga, there's been a lot of noise lately around some of the Facebook pages, social media pages. We have a few anonymous pages that come out with very, strong and controversial language and subject matter, and it really gets people riled up in good ways and in bad ways. And so I wanted to see if you could just touch on that for a quick second.
Yes, I appreciate the opportunity because, I'm a very sensitive person. And like I said, I'm not political. So I don't have the mentality to wrestle with some of these things that are being said about me in particular. I know in my heart who I am and why I'm running, but it is, emotional when you hear other people saying that I stand with any one political group or Moving Saratoga is not a political group, I guess a blogger. I don't stand with any one person. I stand united, hopefully, with all persons. I respect people to have freedom of speech and to be able to have their views heard. But at the end of the day, I extend that respect to all people, and I expect that to be extended to me as well. So I am running this entire thing by myself. Am I getting support and encouragement from everybody in our community? Absolutely. And am I ever going to turn that away? Absolutely not. But I am not anybody's candidate except for my own. And like I said, if I have to check a box, I'm the students and the parents' candidate. It's exactly why I'm running. It's as a parent, a concerned parent.
Well, I thought that was a really kind of important point, because I think, sometimes I see a ton of different groups, whether it's like special interest groups, political groups, and whatnot, coming out and saying we're supporting these three candidates or these three candidates. And I think it's important to clarify for people that doesn't mean that you necessarily have gone to those groups asking for support.
Exactly.
It's that those groups are looking at the field of candidates and making their own decision about who they're supporting.
Exactly.
So
100%. Yes.
And, I know if I was in your position, I certainly wouldn't be like calling, a group up and saying like, I don't want you to be supporting me.
Yeah. I can't. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I feel like, and if you were to, spend a day in my shoes, you would see how vast my friendships are, how diverse they are, how equitable they are. I literally have friends on every side of the political spectrum. And I think they're coming out to support me. I think that's what, people are seeing. And unfortunately, some people are taking a negative stand on that. I would also just like to take the opportunity to clarify, I am not and never have been an advocate for banning books. I'm just in support of transparency and open channels of communication.
Yeah, I think it's hard because I think some of these issues like banning books, some of the really the issues that have gotten really kind of like heightened emotionally and that people are getting really worked up about, it seems to me that a lot of that is happening from the media. And maybe there'll be like one instance somewhere of a truly like, books are being banned, books are being burned, and it makes people kind of hysterical. And they just start thinking that, it's happening here, and, it infiltrates our own lives in a way that isn't necessarily accurate in terms of what's happening, ground here. And so I'm going to blame the media for that one.
Okay.
Well, Billy, thank you for coming on. Good luck in the election. You had a lot of great things to say, and we really appreciate you taking the time and stepping up for the community. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you guys for the opportunity, truly.
Thank you so much, Billy. So it's Tuesday, you guys. Go typically you vote at your local elementary school, but if you check online, I think there's a website, Saratoga Springs City School, sscdsvotes.com, which has the information about where you should be voting. I think it's really important that people turn out and do cast a ballot in this election, because it does have a really significant impact on our kids' education. And I also wanted to say that for any other school board candidate, we would love to have you on over the next week. If you're interested in coming on and talking about why you're running and what your platform is, we would make this space available to anyone who wants to come on and discuss.
And if I could offer, and Adam, your Facebook page is open to anybody. For those that we weren't able to get a chance to get on this show, if you want to post your platform on Saratoga Report, just email info@saratoga-report.com, and I'd be happy to do that so that everyone can make an informed decision.
Yeah. One thing I just want to give a quick shout out. I can't not do this. Coach Ed Spickler, he's running for school board too. He's been Kai's baseball coach for years. I know him. He's a great guy. And it's just, there's a personal connection there, and I'm really impressed by him. So anyway, on that note, should we kick it back to the juicy Saratoga politics stuff?
Sure. And I want to apologize to everybody who's watching for all the technical glitches we're having today, guys. I don't know what we did to piss off the internet, but we've had a lot of little glitches, and we apologize for that. So do we want to wrap up talking about city council a little bit and then move on to our cheers and jeers? What do you think?
Let's do it.
Go for it.
All right. So I know one of the things that caught my attention this week, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but Commissioner Dylan Moran made some really strong statements at the last city council meeting pertaining to accusations of a lack of transparency. And I don't know if you guys caught this, but I kind of wanted to talk about it because I thought it was really just a pretty extreme reaction to an issue that is legitimate. He had a public hearing set for the last city council meeting about eating and drinking and outdoor dining issue that pertained to alcoholic beverages consumption outdoors in some of these outdoor spaces. And usually you would, before the city council meeting, be able to go onto the agenda and you'd see the public hearings, and there's a link attached to it, and you click on the link and you're able to read the document that the public hearing is about. Because the whole point of a public hearing is to get feedback from the public. But if you don't have the resolution or document that's being discussed at the hearing, there's really no point in having a public hearing. So I know that when I went to go look for this document, I couldn't find it on the city's website. It was not attached to the agenda. I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't find any information about this anywhere. And so, going into the city council meeting, I had no idea what they were going to be discussing at the hearing. And oftentimes these public hearings are followed by a discussion and vote at the city council meeting when it starts right afterwards. And so, again, I couldn't find it. I'm pretty well adept at these systems. I was on the city council for 2 years. I know where to find these documents. I'm pretty internet capable, and I couldn't find it anywhere. There were other people, I think, who had the same issue. John Kaufman, who we've had on before, who writes the Saratoga Springs Politics blog, also kind of blogged about this and how he was also unable to find the resolution that Commissioner Moran was proposing and that he was soliciting public feedback on. In response to kind of some of this noise about the lack of transparency, Commissioner Moran made a very heated and what I found to be offensive statement, talking about how he interpreted this feedback, this somewhat critical feedback, that he hadn't been transparent about what this hearing was about and he hadn't put the information out. He interpreted that as people in Saratoga intentionally trying to smear the reputation of our city, intentionally trying to create controversy where none exists. He used terms like social deviance to talk about the people that were doing this. And he really said it was reprehensible that we would ask these questions. It was reprehensible that we would make these accusations, because apparently he put a public notice in the classifieds of the Schenectady Gazette. And so in his mind, he had put this information out. And so these questions I had about where the document was, these issues of transparency, they were moot because he had published it in the Schenectady Gazette in the classified section as a public notice. And I wish I had the video. I'll put the video in the comments later, but he was really heated about it, really upset about it. He talked about disinformation, misinformation, and I just was kind of shocked. And I don't know if you guys had a chance to see the video, but I was just kind of shocked because this is a city council that uses the word transparency more than I've ever heard anyone use it ever. And yet I struggle with the issues of transparency whenever I go to a city council meeting and try to figure out what they're going to be talking about or voting on. And to say that you've published something in the classifieds of the Schenectady Gazette, and that's enough, and no one should complain because that's enough, and we should have seen it there, and our complaints are tantamount to spreading disinformation and trying to smear the reputation of the city. I mean, I just thought it was nuts. And I don't know what you guys thought. I just thought it was crazy. And I thought, if the public is saying something like we can't find information, we can't get information, then the city council needs to adjust how they're putting it out. It's not, that doesn't mean you should call everybody a social deviant and say that we have horrible, insincere intentions. So
Yeah,
I don't know what
one thing he said that it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way is he said that the people who couldn't find this information were lazy. He said it.
Oh yeah.
And it was to me, it was a public servant's job where if the people have an issue, to not blame them for the issue, but to find solutions on all right, how can we better present this material so the public's informed, so they can come to these city council meetings and they can voice an opinion on these matters. So again, calling the public lazy, it just wasn't a good look. I didn't appreciate it. I don't think a lot of people did.
I thought we always start off beating up Jim Montanino. Did I not get the memo on this one?
We'll get there. Don't worry.
I'm the oldest of the three of us, and you're probably going to moan and groan on this, and I'm going to hear John Kaufman through my computer moan and groan. Dylan has his flaws, but for whatever reason, I'm sort of okay with him. Was everything you pointed out legit? Yeah, he's made some missteps. There's no doubt about it. I like the energy he's brought to the job. I guess I'm turning softy in my old age. I'm not going to join in here. Yeah, I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. I guess I'm just turning soft. I sort of like Dylan. I like the energy he's bringing. He's making some missteps. Dylan, you got to stop making those missteps. And that's where I'm at on that.
I appreciate his energy too. I'm not going to say I don't appreciate it. I think he came into this position and he's kind of like attacked it, and he's gotten a lot done, and he's aggressively kind of pushing things forward. I appreciate that. But what I don't appreciate, and I'm curious if you agree or don't agree, Dan, is that if there's any pushback or any criticism about what he's doing, he seems to go from, professional to immediately it's a personal attack, and he's furious about it. And public officials should know that there's going to be a level of criticism that is going to be constant, no matter what. And you can't just immediately go to like, oh, how dare you ask about transparency? You're all lazy. You're all deviants. You're all trying to smear the reputation of the city. Your fault, not mine. I'm doing everything right.
I do agree with you on this. And what a number of the city commissioners are not doing, and I do this with my Saratoga Report website. I had something controversial I was going to say. I ran it past somebody first. And he said, Dan, I like 80% of what you're writing. It was actually about moving Saratoga forward, so I'm working on that. And he said, you need to dial 20% of this back. And I was so glad he did that. It seems like three, in some cases, the mayor and two of the commissioners are not doing that with their deputies. Like, hey, I'm going to say this. And either the deputies are failing them or they're just not running things by them. Dylan definitely made some missteps. Robin, you know better than anybody. Like you said, you need to be thick-skinned. The blogs are going to attack you. I was a union president. Thank God before social media really took off. That would have been just ugly. The things people say about you, the keyboard warriors, it's ugly. And for him not to be able to roll with that and just stay the course, that's a large mistake he's making. And he needs to get thicker skin. I do agree with that.
But to your point, Dan, I do love the idea of outdoor dining, and that is a great initiative. I think it really adds something neat to the city. I know Bob Millis, our last guest, wasn't big on it. He kept on bringing up patios and patio dining being a bad thing, but I think it adds a certain charm to a city when we walk down the streets and people are outside, and when the weather's nice, kind of like what you're doing right now, Dan. Just more in a downtown area that's not with the trucks.
I don't think anyone's disputing that. I agree. Outdoor dining is great. I guess my frustration has been that these candidates all ran really stressing communication. They were going to bring communication back to City Hall. They were going to be transparent. I mean, they hit those points over and over again and continue to. But these issues of not being able to figure out what's going to be discussed in these resolutions or discussions and votes, it happens every single council meeting. And I see virtually no communication or effort to communicate from probably at least 3 out of the 5 council members, in particular, Commissioner Montanino, the mayor, and Commissioner Moran. I don't think Commissioner Montanino has any digital presence at all. I think that if you want to talk to him, you got to pick up the phone or go in. I don't see any of this stuff online anywhere. So that's frustrating, and it really doesn't do anyone any good, And they get criticized. We don't know what's going on. The first step is communication. If the public doesn't know what's going on, you're going to tee yourself up for failure one way or the other, in my opinion.
I agree. Yes.
Well, speaking of communication, one of the last issues I want to talk about, you said we usually start off with the critique of Commissioner Montanino. I don't want him to feel left out here. So I just have to say, I myself have been very frustrated because at the last city council meeting, I went and asked in public comment what the plan was for dealing with our summer safety issues, our downtown issues, our nightlife issues. We know our population is about to jump up from about 29,000 people to 75,000 people this summer at the height of the track season. That brings with it a whole host of public safety issues. And Commissioner Montagnino back in March announced a staffing initiative that phase one was to defund the assistant chief of police. And then, I assumed he alluded to more phases of that staffing initiative, but nothing has happened since then, except for a pretty significant exodus from the police department. We just saw another lieutenant retire yesterday. I don't know if that retirement was entirely her choice necessarily, although I can't speak to that detail. But there have been a lot of people leaving. We've seen a lot of the lieutenants, a lot of the command staff, our younger officers, and we are facing probably the lowest staffing numbers we've had in recent memory going into the track season.
Robin cuts out. Yeah, Dan, I think, and we've talked about this before, I think everybody's just, we have a demoralized police force, an understaffed police force. We're heading into our busy season where we need everybody to be on, to be fully staffed, ready to go, ready to keep the city safe. So, we're August, July is not that far away. Whatever they do, I hope they ramp it up quickly because it's becoming a crime, and the blood spilled on Caroline Street is an issue that's not going away. And like I said in the last show, I think we have to increase police force, increase broken glass policing, have a big message, let people know that you come to Saratoga and you commit a crime, there's going to be accountability for that. It's not going to be, commit a crime and go home. So I hope the city council is thinking about this and taking proactive steps so we don't have a summer of mayhem.
I wanted to mention this during Abby's segment. In a good way and in potentially a terrible way, Saratoga is about to explode. People, COVID is still here, but people don't want to be kept in their house. They want to go to Broadway. They want to go downtown. They want to go shopping. They want to go to the track, and they want to go to music concerts. So that's all the good. The flip side of that is they want to go to Caroline Street at 2 a.m. And that's to both of your point. The police department is crucial here, and we are losing experienced police officers. And we talked about it in the previous show last week or the week before, that you can't just pummel them with overtime. They get exhausted. You can't just do that.
Yeah.
And that it ends up hurting it. And it could be a powder keg. And you need a fully staffed police department. You need, beyond staffing, you need leadership. But some of the leadership is leaving or getting demoted. And that's a problem. And I'm not here to beat up Jim Montagnino. Again, I'm maybe last week, maybe next week, not today. I'm getting soft today. I don't want to beat up anybody, but he does come off as aloof. I have an email into him from months ago, a very pleasant email. Hey, XYZ. He never got back to me. Granted, I get it. You get pummeled, but Robin, he does need, I didn't realize he didn't have a social media presence. He is old school. He's got a deputy, assign that to the deputy, assign that to staff, something. But he does need to have that. So I am worried that the powder keg is lit and there's not enough being done about it.
Yeah, right, I'm just going to say real quick, Adam, based on my experience last summer, we were significantly more staffed. By the beginning of July, the police department was fried. I mean, they were destroyed. And it was like, how are we going to get through the rest of the summer? There is no plan that I'm aware of. There is no, unless he's secretly hiring people, which I highly doubt. We've run out of time, essentially. But I think it's irresponsible, and he's doing his job as a public servant to address this issue because it's a concern and a worry that is building and building and building. Chief Hawkins down in Albany just announced his plan for summer crime. Commissioner Montagnino, we need to know the plan. We need to know the plan. This is too important. And it's too important for all of us. So anyway, hopefully he'll do that. Do we want to do our cheers and jeers? Do we have time for cheers and jeers, Adam, or do we need to go?
Let's do it. People want to jump off already. They've jumped off.
All right. Cheers and jeers, kids. What do we got?
I'll kick them off if you don't mind.
All right, kick them off.
This one I'm a little late on it, but I have a double cheer here related. Carolyn Shapiro from Cafe Lena, who works at Cafe Lena, and Cafe Lena itself, were both winners of the Eddie Awards about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, held down in Schenectady. Those are the local music awards. Cafe Lena won for best small venue. Nobody was surprised, of course, that they multiple times winner. Carolyn Shapiro, who I know, told me she was very surprised and of course elated to win the best folk traditional artist of the year or folk traditional artist of the year. And she is a terrific banjo player, and she just had a album release party maybe a month or two ago at Cafe Lena. So congratulations to both Cafe Lena and their own Carolyn Shapiro, kind of a double win for Cafe Lena. I don't have a jeer, but a kind of a piece of sad news to briefly mention, and you can find this quickly online. In my research, I'm always searching the word Saratoga. Go figure. Well, all over the news, Hotel Saratoga in Havana, Cuba, exploded apparently from a gas leak, and there's like 40 to 45 people dead. They keep finding bodies because it was a partial collapse and so forth. And it shares a name with our beloved city. Obviously, there was probably a connection why it was named the Hotel Saratoga. I can't find that online. I did some research. I didn't go too deep, but I can't find out why. But 40 or 45 people dying anywhere in the world for any reason is a sad occasion. And because we share the name with the hotel, I just thought I'd bring it up. Search it online. It's all over Google. And unfortunately, the number keeps going up of those dead. So my hearts go out to the deceased and of course, the families of the deceased. And thank you to the rescue workers who are putting themselves in danger because it's a partially collapsed building.
Adam, what's your cheer and tear, sir?
All right, so my cheer is not for Rich Strike, the Kentucky Derby winner, but Rich Strike's Outrider. What Outriders do is they guide the thoroughbreds in and out of the track before the horses race. What happened is, Rich Strike is I at one point dated a girl who was really involved in the horse industry, and she told me these thoroughbreds, they want to win. They know what it is to win. And the great ones, what they'll do is when a horse is trying to get by them, they'll try to bite it. They'll try to knock it back. And that's their natural instinct. These horses want to run and want to be in first. So Rich Strike, the Outrider, came and grabbed him, and Rich Strike thought it was still running. And so it started biting the Outrider, started biting the Outrider's pony. The Outrider did everything it could do to keep that horse in control after suffering these injuries, and did a great job of calming that horse down and getting that horse to safety. So I thought that was an incredible showmanship of horsemanship, and cheers to him for letting us watch Rich Strike run again by causing him not to get harmed. My jeer is to people who think that the horse racing industry is cruel to these horses. These horses want to run. They're bred to run. Their instincts are to run. They live great lives. They have veterinarian care, top-notch veterinarian care. Are there accidents? Yes, but there's accidents in the wild. Accidents are just it is a unfortunate part of life. The horse racing industry does all it can to minimize these accidents. So people who think that these horses would be better in the wild or better not running are just not really in tune to what these horses are bred to do and what these horses want to do. So cheers to the haters.
Adam, I'm going to challenge you on that on another episode a little bit. But so I'll put a pin in it, but I want to challenge you on that a little bit because I don't know a ton about horse racing, but isn't there like a pretty well-known trainer who like can't run in a lot of locations because he's been like juicing his horses? Am I making that up, Bob?
Yeah, no, Bob Baffert. Yeah, no, there's. I don't think Adam would say there's not issues. Maybe we should do a show on it. There's not.
Maybe we should do a show because the horses when they are done with their racing career, which is pretty short, and what happens to them after they've raced and are no longer needed to race, I think is also kind of like has been a little tricky. Retired racers, but we can talk about that another time. But I thought the Outrider did an amazing job, and I know that he got a ton of flack online because it looked like he was kind of punching the horse, like from one angle. And again, I don't know anything about horse racing, and so until it was explained to me, kind of the dynamic and what happened, it did look like he was like beating up on a horse, which is never a good look. But that was not the case at all. So he probably got an unfair amount of criticism online, and so I appreciate you bringing that up. My cheer and jeer for the week. My cheer goes to one of my favorite organizations, Saratoga Sponsor a Scholar. We had our Derby Day party on Saturday, which you guys know. This is a program that supports financially disadvantaged kids in our high school who have a commitment to going to college and academic excellence. And we had a ton of people turn out on Saturday. We raised over $200,000 for the program. It was just an awesome day. It was an awesome event. Everyone was so happy to be back together and also to support this great cause. And as we're talking about school board elections and we're talking about all these issues, pertaining to school and our kids and their experience, this is one way where we are really directly impacting the lives of kids who are really inspirational and incredible. And so it's just awesome to see that kind of community support. So that is my cheer for the week. My jeer is going to go to the freaking internet, because internet man, you screwed us up today with this podcast. I don't know if it was Dan being outside that like put like a, you know, a bad, some feeling about this podcast, but I don't think we've ever had, to that, I'm gonna, I don't think we've ever had so many issues with audio, with people's video. And so like, I don't know if we can ever have you back outside, Dan, or maybe we need to be with you to get this back on track.
Yeah, I'll give you guys the heads up next time.
All right. Well, we will be back next Wednesday. We'll be talking school board elections and all sorts of stuff. So thank you, Adam. You want to sign us off?
Yeah. Oh, real quick. Look over here is we got some bags that came from Ukraine. A lady who fled Ukraine to Warsaw, Poland, paints these. We buy them from her. We come and sell them. They're for sale at Silverwood. They'll be there all summer. They're really kind of a neat. They're all hand painted. So it's a really kind of neat cause. Pick one up at Silverwood. And thank you for tuning in, Saratoga. Oh. Go ahead.
Props to Adam on your CNBC. That was going to be my cheer initially. Adam Israel did an amazing piece with CNBC talking about Letters of Hope for Ukraine. It was on Shepard Smith's show. It was on Monday night. Adam, you rocked it. You did an amazing job. So we'll throw that link in the comments. But yay!
Thank you much.
All right.
Stay charming, Saratoga.
Bye.